Good evening, everyone. Welcome back, folks. Today is Sunday, November 14th, 2021. I am Samantha, your host, and as always, we have a great lineup of individuals to start off your week on the right note. This week, we actually have a great surprise. Boom, 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 boom. Wesley is back. Starting off, we have a question of the week by Wesley, so let's go check it out. Right after, we also have the second installment of Christopher's Drum Studio.
I like golf because I get to go outside with my friends and it's a fun sport.
My favorite hobby is either playing video games or going and riding my one wheel.
My favorite hobby is playing sports because I get to hang out with my friends and it keeps me physically active.
My favorite hobby is playing basketball because it brings me a level of excitement and enjoyment that nothing else does.
My favorite hobby is probably playing pig in basketball because I'm literally the best and beat the captain of the basketball team.
My favorite hobby is jumping on the trampoline because it's fun and passes the time quickly.
Basketball is my favorite hobby because I love just playing it and I love the friendships that I've formed from it.
Volleyball is my favorite hobby because of all the friends on my team.
My hobby? My hobby is playing Trivia Correct on my phone.
How come?
I'm just interested. I've always loved trivia, and it's I'm a kind of a competitive person, and I really enjoy it.
My favorite hobby is dancing because it's really fun for me, and I've been doing it since I was very little, and it relieves a lot of stress.
My favorite hobby is shopping or thrifting and using all my money on clothes that I don't need.
My favorite hobby is probably reading.
My favorite hobby is that I like to check my Spotify statistics every day and see what my top tracks and artists are. That's very fun.
I love learning new things. Right now I'm learning guitar. It's pretty fun.
Cool.
And it sounds cool.
I like playing basketball because I like getting exercise and it gets me in shape.
My favorite hobby is watching movies because like afterwards you can talk about it with your friends and discuss what you think about it.
This past Friday and Saturday, the play The Tempest by William Shakespeare was performed by our student actors with Fall Festival. We are so incredibly proud of them. If you happen to miss it, there will be another performance at the Tina Packer Playhouse on Thursday, November 18th at 6:15 p.m. Coming up, we have Veer with his segment on top 10s. Directly following, we have Sam and his perspective on video games. If only I had the talent to play.
Shin Megami Tensei 5 on the horizon. The game looks like it's going to innovate the turn-based RPG genre with its stunning visuals, well-thought-out strategic gameplay, and compelling narrative. But before the game comes out, I want to go back and look at the game that started it all, the cult classic game from 1992, Shin Megami Tensei 1. Released on the Super Famicom and later a polished-up version for the Game Boy Advance, Shin Megami Tensei is a first-person dungeon crawler role-playing game. The plot of the game picks up early on when you meet two heroes of opposing ideals, as well as another hero who is more neutral. And throughout the game, you see those ideals become more extreme, leading to a choice of 3 different endings, which you, the player, choose throughout the dialogue options given to you in the game. The game pioneered the monster collecting genre, which would be adopted 6 years later by one of the biggest game franchises in the world, Pokemon. It was also an RPG that took place in modern day, which was extremely rare to see since the medieval fantasy setting, like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, made up the genre as a staple. Shin Megami Tensei wasn't afraid to shake things up in a genre that was starting to be stale and kept doing the same thing over and over again. My hope for Shin Megami Tensei 5 is that it will once again shake up the video game scene and be an impactful, memorable experience.
As our fall sports wrap up, we welcome our winter sports. If you are interested, sign up through Family ID now. First practices and tryouts take place on Monday, November 29th. Next up, we get to see MMTV's beloved member, the Little Guy. Let's check out Clementine and Quimby's Adventures of the Little Guy. Following, we have Caitlin on her segment, Celebrity Profiles. year's induction of the National Honor Society will take place Sunday, November 21st at 6 p.m. Congratulations to all of the new inductees. Our next two segments start off with Ty sharing this week's student profile, and then Sarah with another segment of Fairy Tales of Old.
Jackson Smith is an alumni who graduated Monument last year with the class of 2021. In school, Jackson was interested in English and history and wasn't as big of a fan of the math classes and science classes. Jackson also played Frisbee throughout his Monument career. Now that Jackson has graduated high school, he's very passionate about film. He's taking a gap year, and throughout his gap year, he has worked on multiple movie sets and has made many good connections and very good progress working his way up through the film industry. As far as hobbies go, Jackson really enjoys skateboarding and playing Frisbee. As far as the future goes, Jackson isn't 100% certain, although he says that he would either like to secure a stable job within the film industry and work his way up from there, or go to film school. Jackson also said that he wants to travel a lot this year, saying that he is interested in doing a cross-country road trip and might even be going to Bali in May.
Hello, and welcome to Fairy Tales of Old, where every week we discuss and introduce an old fairy tale that's not as well known, and review it as well as provide possible facts. Last week, we reviewed the Chinese tale The Magic Lotus Lantern, the story of a boy who travels across many different lands to save his trapped mother, and eventually uses the magic of the Lotus Lantern to win the battle against his uncle. Now then, let's get into the story. This week, we'll be reviewing an Arabian tale written by Hannah Diab and Antoine Galland in 1709. This story is known as The Ebony Horse, or The Enchanted Horse. In the story, we are introduced to King Sabur, the king of the Persians, who was well known for being kind, witty, and fair. On the specific day, King Sabur was holding a festival for the new year. 3 wise men approached him in his throne room, each offering him a different token. The last of the 3 wise men presented a mechanical horse with the ability to fly and take anyone across the world in a single day that would regularly take a year. The king was very impressed and offered each of the wise men the hand in marriage to his 3 daughters. When the daughters learned of this, they were very upset and asked their brother, Kamar al-Akmar, to help them. Kamar took it upon himself to ask the 3 wise men what they brought forth to his father, and when he found the mechanical horse, he was very impressed. He asked the wise man if he would show him how to ride it, so the wise man showed him the way to ascend and sent Kamar up into the sky without the knowledge of how to come back to the ground. The king, enraged by this news, imprisoned the wise man and wept for Kamar, thinking he'd never come home again. Meanwhile, Kamar, being up in the sky, had taken quite a while to figure out how to descend once again. When he finally had, he found himself in a different land, one he had not recognized, so he landed in the courtyard of a castle and was welcomed with food and water, and soon met the daughter of the castle, Shams al-Nahar. They conversed together and decided to marry since the king of this new castle was looking for a husband for her anyways. Kamar convinces Shams al-Nahar to ride with him to his homeland of Persia. But, as the couple are overhead of Kamar's castle, the wise man sees them flying and manages to escape while the king and Kamar are distracted. The wise man kidnaps Shams al-Nahar and flies far away to the kingdom of Kashmir, where the king rescues the princess and holds her until Kamar finds his way to her. Kamar takes his beloved princess with him and flies home away from the wise man and the kingdom of Kashmir. This was a very long tale, and with it so many smaller pieces came, but I personally feel it holds such intricate details of a story from so long ago that the language is almost Shakespearean to read. I hope you enjoyed this week's story, and I'll see you next time on Fairy Tales of Old.
Don't forget, we are quickly approaching our Thanksgiving break, starting on Wednesday, November 22nd. For the news portion, we have National Sports News by Caden. Let's check it out. Alright, let's check out our full week of lunches. Starting off on Monday the 15th, we have burgers. Tuesday is fish sandwiches, Wednesday is grilled cheese, and finishing off our pre-break week, we have Thursday barbecue pork riblet sandwiches and Friday with cheese pizza. Keeping up in the social media world, we have Mia and Dakota bringing us their opinions on The Office this week through their segment TV Show Reviews.
Hello everyone and welcome back to me and Dakota's TV review. The show I decided to review this week is a classic. I watched it numerous times and laughed at all the jokes still. It left Netflix on New Year's of 2021. The show is The Office. You heard the theme song in your head, didn't you? The song has 9 seasons and it's all about how they wanted to do a reality TV show on a boring paper company. The thought of it sounds quite ridiculous, but the production crew really pulled it off. The show gave us some iconic lines like, "That's what she said," and "Identity theft is not a joke, Jim." The show cast Rainn Wilson as Dwight, John Krasinski as Jim, Jenna Fischer as Pam, and Steve Carell as Michael Scott. Michael Scott is the manager of a paper company called Dunder Mifflin. His assistant to the regional manager is Dwight, while Jim plays pranks on Dwight. The story, of course, talks about things that normally don't happen at work, like a basketball game during the day. They also talk about real things like office romance, about how Jim fell in love with Pam before the show started. Pam always loved him but thought of him as a friend, and she didn't realize her feelings till season 3. Dwight and Angela, who was played by Angela Kinsey, have been on and off throughout the whole show. Till the last season, they got married. Like Michael married Holly Flax, who was played by Amy Ryan. My personal favorite is the one between Ryan and Kelly, who is played by BJ Novak and Mindy Kaling. It's a toxic romance, but they can't help their attraction to each other. She always loved him, but you couldn't really tell how he felt, because sometimes he would seem like he loves her and then other times wished to get away from her. Ultimately, they had gone back together on the last episode. The show has some awful episodes like Scott's Tots because it was so painfully cringy to watch. Also had a lot of funny moments like Jim and all of his pranks. Meredith, played by Kate Flannery, was an alcoholic who loved attention a little too much, even though no one was giving it to her. And then even Kevin, played by Brian Baumgartner, who was a sweet, lovable, dumb dude in the accounting. He made stupid comments and had a heart of gold, even though it doesn't come off that way sometimes. Overall, the show was very well written and produced and and the cast are friends, and you can even see it through the show. The worst parts were when Michael Scott left. They still went on and made funny seasons, but they made characters turn for the worse. No one really liked him by the end of it, and that was Andy, who's played by Helms. While it's no longer on Netflix, you can watch it on Peacock, and I 100% recommend watching this show. The show was my comfort show, and hopefully you will enjoy it as well. That's all I have, and thank you for watching, and see you next time.
That winds up the end of our show today. It's always such a great way to start off the week. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any suggestions, please send us an email at monument.tv2021@gmail.com. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, same channel, for more creative segments. This has been Samantha from MMTV, signing off. Have a great week, everyone.